it on the Lincoln. It was a brand new Lincoln back then.
Yeah.
And to be wild.
I think we're on track now. Okay, so good evening and welcome back to another episode of Texas Wild. I'm your host, Ryan Prigmore, and tonight I have the distinct pleasure of having the crew of Blue Diver Search and Recovery in the studio with me tonight. We have Justin Nunn from Justin, Texas. You know how many people in Justin, Texas that I know with the name Justin? None.
That was a good one.
And we have Junior C.L. Lee Mayhew, the man with three names for a first name. Junior, how are you?
I'm doing real good. How about you?
I'm happy to be here.
I'm glad to see one
as
of our
usual.
I'm glad to see one of our other crew members. That hasn't been on the radio yet.
I'm here.
Haven't you been on at least once?
No,
none.
I see what you did there. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming all the way from Justin after having been on the show none times. We're happy to have you here. Justin is our engineer. He is our project manager.
Yes,
Justin handles all of the projects that we don't want to bother with, doesn't he?
He bothers with all the ones that are on land while we are underwater.
He put cleats on the boat, so he handles the ones on water too.
I fixed that boat up well. But he's sitting good.
But he ain't underwater doing it.
Not yet. He has dove before.
Yes, he has.
I can do it.
Yeah,
you can do it.
I'm glad you can.
Do it.
You're a master
I'll get
going
certified.
down.
I just, certified at many things, master of none.
Yeah, of course, none.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it too.
Well, either way, we're happy to have both of you in the studio tonight.
I wouldn't rather be anywhere else. Thank you for having me.
No
tonight, we are going to explore the unexpected turns, thrills, and challenges that come when businesses turn into an adventure. I'm your host, Ryan J. Prigmore. Tonight, we're diving deep into something that every entrepreneur and business leader eventually faces. The moment when the safe and predictable becomes murky and uncharted. When business becomes more than numbers and profits, it becomes an adventure. And I'm talking not specifically about any particular experience, but when the plans that you have made go awry, what do you do?
That's
when business becomes an adventure, when you don't know what's going to happen next. And I've always said that adventure is something that gets you up and off the couch and outdoors and out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
And business can be exactly that.
Yes,
so
it can.
When the well-laid plans that you've had for your business go awry, what do you do?
I guess you need to step back and look at what's going on. And
you need to have a plan B, just like in any boat sinking or campfire emergency or
diving situation.
You always need to have an emergency backup plan, don't you?
Yes.
That's right.
And
indeed. 100%.
We've came through a little excursion this last few weeks.
Well,
and
let's talk about excursions otherwise.
I think
we've had situations many a times where our plans that we had prepared for didn't go the way they were supposed to.
Well, I think this one went a little too fast and wasn't planned out right.
Let's talk about Port O'Connor.
Oh,
Port O'Connor was the Hunter Hadley case.
Yes.
And I was asked not too politely by his mother to not discuss this on the air, but we're going to do it anyway. Kristen, apologies if you
sorry about that, sweetie.
Can't forgive me for this, but we're going to do it anyway. The Hunter Hadley case was a case that involved diving in the intracoastal waterway down in Port O'Connor, and it was a gentleman who, after him and his friend fueled up their boat in the middle of the night, unfortunately the boat didn't have any lights on it. And when they returned to underway status after fueling their boat, they ran headlong into a barge. The gentleman, Hunter Hadley, was thrown from the boat. He did not survive. His friend, unfortunately, was severely injured in the accident. He did survive. But I believe we spent 5 days looking for him.
That's what you were telling me. Yeah, it was about 5 days, and it was cold.
Oh, it was awful miserable. You know, they say that ducks don't fly except in the most miserable of conditions, and we were provided duck hunting gear just to be on the boat.
just to be on
Just
the
to get
boat.
one thing straight, that barge didn't have any lights on it either, did it?
No, it didn't, and that's one
Usually
of the.
they're pushed by a tug or something of that
No,
sort.
these barges were under their own power.
Also, they should be
Okay.
equipped with lights.
Oh yeah,
And they
should
didn't
been,
have
It
lights.
should have been
So
lit up
it should have
like
been.
daylight, and it wasn't. And that was one of the factors that the family was going to pursue in court, was that the barge was not lit up the way it was supposed to have been.
Something that size should have been.
I'm sure the boys were in their
Caution tape.
legality. They were, they were intelligent young men who had been on the water their entire lives. And Hunter, the one that unfortunately was lost, was studying to be a captain. So I'm
Mhm.
certain
Really?
that his boat was, his boat was where it should have been.
Yeah.
It should.
How
It was
large was that vessel?
the fishing vessel.
The barge that they crashed into.
Oh, it was 100 feet plus,
And how large was the other?
less than 30 feet.
Less than 30.
Yeah. A fishing boat.
You'd
Well-
think it would have some sort of reflective tape or at least some clearance lights
Well, yeah,
or something.
you would-
Ambers,
Especially
They're supposed to have
green,
lanterns
white.
that line the side of the barge. The captain or a crewmate goes out and places lanterns along the side of the barge so that you can see them go by, and they weren't there. The point here is that any well-laid plan can go awry in a matter of moments.
Mhm.
And in that instance, what's your plan B? When you're on a boat like that at night, your plan B should be wearing a life vest,
yes.
because the life vest is going to work, period.
But not everybody would think of that, because you would think at night,
Well,
all right, I'm out here safe and stuff, which we got to the boaters. We've done a special on a boaters course too, that you always should have a life jacket close by you.
Right.
No matter if you're wearing it or not. We're divers. We still have life jackets on our boat. Just in
Towboat
case.
crew, you've been here when Captain
Yes.
Dan from Towboat US
Yeah.
has been on the show. Those gentlemen wear a life jacket whether they're, great swimmers or not.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. If you're
Yeah.
on a towboat, you must be wearing a Coast Guard approved life jacket.
It's just like I said, we have life jackets that are right beside us. When
Mhm.
we're on our boat going across the lake to go do a dive, we still have our life jackets.
Right.
And that should be in everybody's plan, is always have a life jacket close by so you can grab a hold of, just
you
in
don't-
case of emergency.
You don't always have the time to put them on. Like,
But-
for instance, the Port O'Connor, where they
Yeah,
just
but
crashed instantly.
You would have it close by if you capsed or
But
whatever.
You're not thinking life jacket when you crash.
You
into
never
the
do.
side of a barge.
Yeah.
So there's certain situations and scenarios that can occur,
Oh, definitely.
but
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I understand that. It's just like, I'm just saying, for instance, just at least have it by, just in case something does go wrong, you could grab it closer than have to go dig for it or look for it.
The point is that no matter what your business adventure might be, it
Have
is
a plan
important
B.
that you always maintain a plan
Plan
B.
B.
It is important that you don't let the success or failure of your business depend on someone else, or the success or failure of your plan depend on someone else. It is
absolutely.
important to keep that backup plan in your back pocket so that you have it whenever you need it. Now, some of you listening out there might already be in a situation where you started a new venture, you've hit a crossroad, or maybe your business is evolving faster than you expected it to. Suddenly, you're not just managing day-to-day operations, you're navigating completely and totally unfamiliar waters. You're facing risks you didn't anticipate, and the path ahead is not clearly marked. So what do you do when your business starts to feel less like a business and more like an adventure into the unknown? Let's talk for a moment about these people out in Florida, in
Yeah.
Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee. Everything they've ever worked for is turning to what? Nothing
Nothing.
before their eyes.
God bless their souls.
And
Yes.
and God may God be with them and the help that they need to be on the way.
Prayers up for Florida and East Coast.
What do you think their backup plan was? Think they had one?
I don't think half of them did.
I don't
No.
understand these people that, the meteorologist tells them, hey, there's a Category 5 storm headed your way. And they're like, I think I'll ride it out.
Oh, my house will extend that, because that's when they buy a house, they say, oh yeah, it'll take over this, you can go to a Category 4 or Category 5 with your house.
Right.
A bunch of them don't even think about that. you know, how strong that really is.
Well,
And they
insurance
don't
plays
use
a
the
big
backup.
insurance plays a big part in all this, and
Yes.
sometimes insurance is the only backup plan that they have.
Oh yeah.
But even that can fall through. We
But
on
then
some of the salvage operations that we've been on, I won't mention the insurance company name by name, but there are more than one who have completely and totally denied all claims to the damage that we have helped mitigate.
yeah.
And why? Because it's the bottom dollar. They're more concerned with profits than they are doing right by their customers. What's a backup plan then? What do you do? What do you do when your business is completely thrown to the wind and you're left wondering how you wound up there?
That's what I was trying to get to earlier. You need to step back and see where it really is going. You know, because a lot of people go through this stuff and they're going full blast, full
Right.
blast, full blast. You might need to stop and take your time and
Go hands off for a minute.
yes, and just realize what you're actually doing. And that way you can make a plan B or you can make a plan C. You know, but instead of just going, okay, this is what I got in my head, let's go, let's run for it. But they don't see that, you know, coming in, that brick wall going to be right there. Well, how are they going to defend that brick wall?
Dustin, you have anything to add?
Maybe considering nonprofit, maybe, and just rely on donations, because I mean, what we're doing is essentially saving lives and preventative life moments that change people's lives.
Taking a nonprofit approach is admirable, but it could also be seen as if you're begging for people to do for you, and that's not the case.
Well, I
In
mean,
a situation where we have to be ready to go at a moment's notice, I can't, the foundations of the business can't always pony up to be where we say we can be when we say we can be there. So
all I can say
it
is
would be
put your
nice
best
to have
foot
a
forward.
501c3 foundation set up that could accept donations, and
Yeah.
those donations could go towards lodging, they could go towards boat maintenance, they could go
Well, I'm
towards,
sure if there's anybody out there, and that listen and know what you're going through as a company, and no matter how deep your company gets, the depth of the company
was that a
is.
diving pun?
Yeah,
It
that's
was.
what it sounded like. I think
tried.
so. Wait a minute.
That was my snappiest diving.
That was a good
of
one,
the
though.
night.
In a
But-
situation where we need to be able to offer our services to people who don't have the means to pay for it, a nonprofit organization would be the way to go. I 100% agree with that. There's a lot of red tape involved with setting up a 501c3, but one day we'll get there, and
but
one day
there's-
we'll be able to offer our services free of charge to those that need them.
That really need them.
Mhm.
You know, not little things. We're talking.
There's lots of options
Like
for
the
a plan
store-
B.
yeah.
All sorts of
Yes.
scenarios that have to equate with the problems that do equate from being what I would call a very lucrative business as ourselves. But
Lucrative in terms of search and recovery of lost items, sure. But when it comes to hunting for bodies or missing persons, I wouldn't be looking toward the lucrative side of things. It's more of a
doing the right thing.
Well, it comes from a place of servitude
Well,
because we're needed. That's why
that almost goes back on the plane crash we just had at Eagle Mountain Lake.
we did have a plane crash
And-
recently, didn't we?
We went out there not for money. We went out there to tell them that we were supporting them as extra divers if they needed.
To be of use.
Yes. So I mean, we sat out there. I don't mean you did. We sat out there for at least a couple hours, waiting
believe it
and
was
waiting.
3
and waiting.
hours.
Yeah, waiting and waiting. And then they finally come told us, "Hey, we got this. It's a crime scene. Let's." But they knew all they had to do was call us up if they needed us.
Right. We were
And
there
we
with
went-
gear on hand.
Yeah, we
tanks,
wasn't
etc.
ready. We wasn't wanting money. We want nothing out of it. We wanted just to help.
Right. The only reward was having been there.
Yes. And you know what? And I enjoyed that too. Going out there and being able, having my gear set. I mean, I was ready to get in the water. I had my gear set and they said, okay, this is what's going on. I won't get it on air what's about it, but this is what's going on and y'all stay back. I was like, all right, that's not a problem.
Let's
Just
take
sit
a
back.
moment to thank the public safety divers for what
Yes,
they do and
they-
for the categories of diving that they are trained in, their evidence recovery, evidential chain of command, things like that.
Oh man,
Stuff that we know nothing about.
I highly appreciate that. I mean, I
One-
really.
WD.
One
Yeah.
of them is going to be on our show on October 24th of this year.
Oh really?
Yeah, his name's Drew James. He's the gentleman who's done all 4 services of the military for fun.
Just for I remember you telling me about it.
Yeah.
He just did this for fun.
He started out as a Marine. Now he's in the Air Force. He runs a medical tactical unit.
Cool.
And he is an incredibly interesting, one of the most interesting people I know. So when we get back, we're going to have a special call-in guest. Stay tuned. We're going to pay a few bills here, and we'll be back in just a little bit.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now, to learn more.
800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. That's 800-240-4587.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
Joco Community Radio. Listen live at jococommunityradio.com.
Born to be wild.
NTX Radio is a radio and podcast collective proudly serving all of North Texas and can be heard all over the world on TuneIn Radio and on the NTX Radio app on Android, Apple CarPlay, or just ask Alexa to play NTX Radio. Check out our lineup and more at ntxradio.com. We thank our valued partners in helping us amplify the voices of North Texas. Be sure to connect with Todd Hurd and Associates, attorneys at law, for your civil law needs at texasattorneylaw.com. If you're processing credit cards, join the Swipe Nation today and save on processing fees at swipenationusa.com. Locally owned and operated. The holidays are just around the corner, so be sure to shop at tiffy.com for Tiffy sleeves and scarves. When you're ready to deliver the right message to the right people at the right time, email Tiffany at t.hurd@ntxradio.com for advertising rates.
I think you're ringing, Bubba.
We are ringing. I've got
All right.
Mr. McCain calling in on the show for our call-in guest, but he called the wrong number, so I'm going to go ahead and send it to him real quick. 817-637-2585. If you would like to call in and speak to us live on the air, that is the number to do it. Obviously, he's not watching on YouTube or because the number's plugged.
It's
right,
plugged in.
It's
but
right
yeah.
there. Yeah. Mr. McCain is an Alaskan mountain man. and gold prospector who's going to be calling in to talk to us about when business becomes the adventure. I know he called me just now, but these fancy iPhones don't have a place to plug in a headphone jack, and while it would be nice to
Hear
be able
him.
to do that, we just can't. So hopefully he'll get the message here in just a moment, and he'll be giving us a call. He posted something recently on Bookface about he was flying through an airport years and years ago, and he had a bunch of placer gold that he'd found in Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
And they went through his luggage, and when they saw it on the X-ray, and they were like, "What do you think this is? What are you doing with this?" And he was like, "Well, what do you think it is? It's an ounce and a half." It was flake gold. You know what I'm saying? Like in the little vials that they put it in when they find it. How cool would that be to be,
I think that'd be awesome.
To be able to go out and get gold just because you know where it is.
Free money, man.
I'm saying free money.
It ain't really free if you look at the time and stuff you spend into it to get it.
Hey, there he is. Mr. McCain.
Hello.
Hey, welcome back to Texas Wild. We've had you on before. We're always happy to have you again.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Tonight, we're talking about when business becomes the adventure. And if anybody knows anything about that, it would be you, sir. I have introduced you as an Alaskan mountain man / gold prospector. Am I pretty spot on with that?
Yeah, not so much mountain man, but yeah, I can survive.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't be without, would you?
All right.
So the other day, I was just talking on the show about a post that you made on Facebook recently about when you were flying through an airport with a bunch of vials of flake gold that you'd found in the river. And the TSA said, "So what? What are you doing with this? What is this?" And you were like, "Well, what do you think it is? It's an ounce and a half of gold."
Yeah.
Did you expect to find that much on that particular venture?
Not really.
What were you expecting?
What's that?
What were you expecting when you found that much?
Maybe half an ounce or 3/4 of an ounce.
And you doubled your take home pay with that.
Yeah.
I bet you're glad about that.
Where'd you find it? I mean, I don't want to know where your claim is, but I mean, were you prospecting in a river? Were you digging it out of limestone? What?
Yeah, I was in a river. I'll tell everybody. I'm a member of the LDMA.
What is that for those who don't know?
They got the little LDMA is the parent company, and GPAA, Gold Prospectors Association of America. They were on cable years back, and anyway, for something like $75 or something, you can join. They'll give you a gold pan, and they'll give you a claims guide, and pretty much everywhere I go, it's either free and open to the public, or it's in the GPAA claims guide, and that was up in Central Alaska where I found that, and it was a pretty neat area. I ran into some prospectors that were out metal detecting, had been doing it about a year, and the husband had found, I think it was about a 1/4 ounce nugget. We were working old tailings up in the hills there off of Deadwood Creek there in Central, and he found his first nugget. That was pretty amazing. The old tailings piles are just, humps of rock down off in the gullies, and it's not hard to spot.
You talking from like an old dredge machine?
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember actually if they did use like a bucket line dredge in there or not. I want to say no, because I do remember I met an old crazy miner sitting on a Caterpillar dozer, and he had mentioned back during the day that the miners would mine during the winter, and they would like burrow down into the ice and build fires to thaw it out down to the bedrock or to the gravels, and then they'd keep building fires on top of that and digging down to the bedrock. So I'm not really sure if they did have a bucket line dredge up there or not.
I mean, all the tailings would be in rows if it was.
Right.
It's another way to look at it, but depending on how old they were.
So, Mr. McCain, tonight one of the things that we're talking about on the show is when your plans go awry and your backup plan becomes your main situation. Have you had any situations up there in Alaska where everything you had worked towards began to crumble and you had to use your backup plan to get by?
Uh, the only thing the only thing that comes kind of close to that is I met another guy off of a gold prospecting forum, and I was up in Fairbanks. He was down in Anchorage, and down off the Kenai Peninsula. Um, I had an old club member. He was dying, and he gave me the coordinates to an area that was kind of like off limits. And so anyway, it was about, I want to say it was like an 8 mile boat trip across the lake and about a 3 mile hike in. Uh, so I had this guy meet me down there with a boat, and come to find out something about the motor wasn't the right type of motor, because it would put oil back into the lake. And so he had to drive back to Anchorage and get another motor. And so that wasted a day. The second day we got out there, got across the windy lake. It was pretty choppy. And then we were ready for the 3 mile hike, where the dude that gave me these coordinates, he told me back in the 90s, him and 2 or 3 buddies pulled out like 12 ounces in 2 days, just using a shovel, gold pans, and a backpackable sluice box.
12 ounces.
12 ounces in 2 days at $2,000 an ounce.
Can you imagine? Yeah, I'd like to go back. Seriously,
you still have those coordinates?
That's a $24,000 payday overnight.
I know a guy with a helicopter.
Yeah,
actually, it'd be more 12 ounces because that gold's pretty pure up in Alaska. I would say the nuggets or even the fine gold would probably bring maybe 24,000 or 2,400 an ounce.
Yeah.
I think gold's like 26.30 today. But
what's the spot price?
What's that?
What's the spot price currently?
26.30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I was being rather conservative with my estimate.
Well, it gets even better than that, because with the purity and all that kind of stuff, even at 2,400 an ounce, you can expect to get 50 to 100% more on your big nuggets and stuff. So you find like a 1/8 of an ounce or a 1/4 ounce nugget, you're going to be getting double the spot price for it.
So your situation didn't maybe necessarily fall apart. It kind of was enhanced by your friend's unfortunate deathbed confession.
Yeah, true. So anyway, back to us getting across the lake. When we got back across the lake, I started hiking in, and where the boat stopped, it was like 3 feet of mud. So I was hiking up to my waist, high stepping into the mud before we got on, some semi-solid, because it was basically a glacial moraine.
This is literally in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Alaska.
Yeah, up in a high, kind of like a high valley.
There are no emergency services here. There are no, hotels, no roads, no infrastructure whatsoever. You're literally on your own on the search for gold.
Yep.
That's as real as it gets.
Better be looking for some St. Bernards.
Do you have a sat phone or anything?
Need to have a helicopter on standby.
Yeah.
Did you have any kind of emergency locator beacons or sat phones or anything like that?
The dude has some kind of phone. I guess he did have a sat phone, because all I know is he knew exactly how fast we were going from like the satellite readout or whatever. It was pretty awesome.
So it was the sort of equipment you might see in an adventure movie like Cliffhanger, where you can watch your progress on a screen and know exactly where you're going.
Right.
But with no access to any sort of emergency mitigation services at all.
No exits out.
Yeah, it's out in the boonies. You don't want to get injured or anything when you're doing stuff like that.
That's as adventure as it gets, Jeff.
Did you have a plan B?
Yeah, the plan B, So anyway, we started hiking in, and we didn't even get a couple 100 yards. And the dude has some kind of, I don't know if he had gout or something going on with his feet or whatever, but he's like apologizing, saying he can't do it. He can't do it. And it's like, bud, we planned this thing for weeks, and you're going to bail out on me when I'm 3 miles from the gold. And he kept trying to get me to give the coordinates, but I'm not a fool. He wasn't going to get them till we was actually there. So I still got those coordinates, and I'd like to go back.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I'm down.
Aboard.
I'm down.
Welcome aboard.
If you need a crew, Jeff, we're available.
Oh, yeah.
Until about March.
Oh, man. Well, that's the issue, man. You can't even really get started until May or June.
Well, I don't know.
It's just too cold, and the ice is still, on top of the rivers and stuff.
Should we pray for continued climate change?
Come on, global warming.
Well, it sounds like quite the adventure, and
I'm down for it.
Oh yeah, and tonight what we're talking about is, how to navigate when business becomes the adventure. And in your situation, it doesn't get any more adventure or business because you're after the most valuable of valuables, gold, and you're doing it. Well, I don't know, to make a living or not, but either way, it helps sustain you, right?
You're doing it for the adventure, at least.
Yeah, and the good thing about it is I've always held on to all my gold. I might have sold, a couple of flakes in a vial or a little tiny nugget here and there, but I still got the majority. And it's doubled in the last, 20 years or so that I found it.
And that's only going to continue that trend too. It's never going back down.
It's a great thing to hold on to,
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting that you say that, because while I have lots of different pieces of gold that I've found in lakes, rivers, streams, ponds, etc., jewelry, I find it hard to sell any of it too, because as much as I'd probably get every penny of what it's actually worth in terms of its material value, I would never get what it's worth to me because I found it.
Yeah.
Its intrinsic value as treasure is not something that you can put a number on. So I can relate to that very, very well.
Yeah, as far as going to Alaska, man, if anybody wanted to go up next summer that's got a pickup truck, we can work something out. My truck took a crap, and I don't foresee me being able to afford one anytime in the near future. So it's like fly or drive to get up there. But I've got a 6-inch dredge sitting at the North Pole inside a travel trailer, and we could go up there and hit that place on the Kenai Peninsula, and then drag my trailer and dredge back down to the 48 going through Canada. And I know a place in Idaho where I found 3/4 of an ounce in 3 days.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jeff, I got an idea. Not only do I have a handful of pickup trucks, I also have an ambulance that's set up for up to 3 people to live comfortably outdoors. It's loaded down with camping gear, tools, metal detectors, digging equipment, scuba gear,
receiver hitch.
Hey, if you're serious, I'm serious.
Yeah, I'm in.
We can
Oh my God, dude. That's awesome.
You don't understand. When we say we're in, we're in.
We had another adventure plan for next summer, but it appears as though it may not work out the way we all want it to.
So we're going to plan B.
So that's right. We now have a plan B. Our plans are going awry, and we have a plan B that is still adventure laden. It is still, it's right up our alley. And if I know 2 guys that are willing to get their feet wet, if you will, they're right here on the show with us, Jeff.
Oh yeah,
man. And it's awesome that y'all are actual divers too, man.
Yeah.
We also have cold water equipment.
Yes, we do.
In addition to an underwater drone.
Oh my Lord. Yeah. Yeah. It's, that would be a perfect deal right there.
Oh, I'm in 100%. I'm in.
Jeff, I think we should discuss this more off the air at a later date and maybe sit down for drinks and figure out just exactly what's going to be involved, because I think this sounds like a once in a lifetime opportunity and I'd love to be a part of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like you were saying, as far as like your hobbies becoming your business or vice versa.
Doing what you love.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about putting together tours, like a 1 week tour, and people just fly up there. We pick them up at the airport, take them out dredging, and kind of depending on the price you charge, you give them 50% of the gold, or you can give them 80% of the gold, just depending on the price point, because it's like a full deal where they got the equipment. You maybe furnish their dive suits, used ones, furnish all their food, and show them a gold bearing region. There's just so much gold up there, but the best spot I ever found was up near Crouch, Idaho, on the Payette River.
I've
And
heard of that.
that's where I found the.
I've heard of that river.
Fayette.
Yeah, I've heard it on Discovery Channel.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry to
but-
say that, but yeah, I've actually heard that river on the Discovery Channel about family that was on down the stream from that owning gold rights on that river.
Right.
The amount that we could charge for an excursion like that would have to far outweigh the value of any gold we found.
Yeah.
But with that understanding, I would be stupid happy to be involved.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Everybody
same way.
bought into it just to go home. On
So what type of a boat would you need for that sort of excursion, Jeff?
Oh man, for the one up there in Alaska, just whatever stroke engine, that doesn't put oil back into the water. Kind of, I guess, like California.
Oh, so
We have a 22-foot aluminum barge pusher from the Mississippi River with a 300 Yamaha 2-stroke. Do you believe that would suffice?
Oh man, that'd be awesome. But I'm trying to think, how would we get the boat and my camper down there at the same time?
that's why we said
We've got a handful of trucks
Yes.
and an ambulance. We can handle it. We'll get it there.
Yeah.
You do your part, I'll do my part, and we'll make this happen, Jeff.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh man, I'm just thinking the gas would be murder. Taking two vehicles up there.
It probably would.
A 3 or 4 way split on an ambulance would be probably good enough. Maybe I don't know. Maybe get up there and rent a vehicle or something.
Well, the ambulance would probably tow that boat just fine. We're not going to win any land speed records, but that's not what it's about. It'd hate going uphill, but it'd probably do it.
Oh yeah, dude. My pickup truck. Actually, I still got the video of going up the mountains there in the peninsula, out of south of Anchorage there, and my turbo was not. It was like it had asthma. It was wheezing.
Yeah,
throwing out black smoke like a choo-choo train.
that do happen at high altitude, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Shoot, I do that at high altitude.
Yeah, it throw out a plume of black smoke, and then it'd clear, and then it threw out another plume of black smoke, and I was going slow, and I had people honking and flipping me off, all the green tree huggers and stuff.
I was fixing to ask you, were they green? I was fixing to ask you if they're truck huggers,
Tree huggers.
tree huggers.
Yeah, anywhere you're out mining for gold, even in Idaho, I've always pretty much, made friends with kayakers or rafters that come by. They're interested in stuff, but you got to beware. They'll come by floating at night. The last boaters down the river, and they'll actually the dredge that I bought, the top of the fuel tank had been caved in by a rock from tree huggers.
That's
No
where,
kidding.
That's where an engineer would come in play.
Yeah, and also back in the 90s, I would put an anchor underneath and anchor it, because they'll come by and cut your rope and send your dredge on a what do they call it, like a Missouri boat ride.
Chase.
Would they go so far as to cut chains that might have your boat secured, or?
Yeah, I would imagine not on the first day or second day, but if they stop by and try to do it, and they're coming by regularly, well, they'll just grab a pair of bolt cutters the next go round.
So we need to camp on the boat.
Well, camp near it. Also, Alaska, was the first place I'd ever been where I heard of having a gun rack on your dredge. The dredger told me, he said he was out dredging in the wilderness somewhere, and he come up, and there was a grizzly bear at the rear end of his dredge right there where the tailings were coming out. And he went back down and waited it out, and he was hoping he had enough gasoline left in the motor for the bear to leave and not run out of air and come up while the bear's still there, because when he poked his head up, he was right there. And then on the opposite shores where he had his shotgun or rifle or whatever.
Doesn't do you a lot of good over there.
After that, he built a gun rack and put it on his dredge.
Heck yeah.
I'm sure it came in handy after that. I'm sure you had more than one experience where it was useful. So let me ask you a question, and level with me here, because we're not acclimated to Alaska conditions. How miserable is it really?
It just depends on the year. My first year up there, I did not experience the worst of the mosquitoes, but you'd be surprised how you can hack and cough and choke on inhaling a mosquito that gets like stuck in your throat.
I've had that happen during a dive before, so I can relate to that. I know what that's like. It's horrible.
I think I swallowed a bug the other day and had a dive, and it was
Well, I ride a motorcycle, so it's happened to me on more than one occasion, but thankfully I have a windshield now.
Right.
Had a Gene bug go down my throat on a motorcycle.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, my
How was
God.
that?
A hair-raising experience.
Did it bug you?
It bugged me.
I bet it did.
Most definitely.
So, Jeff, when I say miserable, we're talking about temperature here, rain, etc. How miserable is it really?
Okay. So basically, like July and August are your prime months that you want to go.
Same months that the work I want to do is here.
So that means start heading up there. Bro.
Yeah, because it's like there's still snow on the ground in June. Around the 1st of July, there won't be any snow where we'll be going, more than likely.
Right on. Okay, so July, August is like springtime up there.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Good to know. Springtime down here can be a hair-raising affair. They say it comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb.
Right.
But I'm sure you're familiar with that. You live here.
Yeah.
Last spring, I believe Eagle Mountain Lake was full for a total of, 1 week?
Yes.
Before it
say
finally
about a
started falling
week and a
again.
half. Yeah.
Now we're back to the same drought conditions we were in before that.
They still got the gates open.
Yeah, they're still, it's dropping
We're
like
dropping
a foot every couple days.
What I estimated was it's dropping a foot every 3 to 4 days.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, I want to thank you for taking the time to call in this evening and tell us about your gold dredging in Alaska and your experiences with when your main plans go awry and what you do in the interim. Let's talk more about next summer in Alaska and see if maybe we can put together some sort of a plan where we could accompany you up there and maybe learn something from you, because it sounds like a once in a lifetime opportunity. And definitely not something I want to let pass me by.
No, I would love to do that.
Yeah, it's definitely a bucket list. I went up there and worked on a dredge operation for about 3 months before winter ran us out, and I just fell in love with the place. And we'll have to make like plans to maybe go up there for a month and just hit a couple of places in Alaska and then come back and hit Idaho for a week or two.
That sounds perfectly doable. I don't see why we couldn't figure out how to do that.
Leaving mid-June, we'll get up there before July 1st.
Let's take us a month to get there. Shit.
Yeah, that sounds like
I tell you what, if possible, we need to spend July 4th there in Idaho, because that little tiny town of Crouch, you would not believe the 4th of July celebration they put on out there. You have to come out there and you got to wear protective glasses.
Sounds like they do the watermelon
they get
crawl.
wild and crazy in the whole town. They shut down the roads into the town. You have to walk in, and then it's a free-for-all with fireworks. It's insane.
It sounds like something I want to be a part of. I appreciate you calling in. We're going to let you go for now, and we'll see y'all again next week. Thank you for tuning in, and can't wait to see you again.
Yeah, we'll see you, Jeff.
Thank you, bud.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godwin, this is the voice of JOCO Community Radio.
Here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or